Hi, I'm Andrew Macpherson. Welcome to another episode on the topic of asset enhancement. Today I'm delighted to be joined by my colleague Tashi Dorjee, who's the head of Flex Australasia for JLL. So welcome Tashi.
How you doing, Andrew?
Yep, good, thanks. So Tashi, as we know, one of the factors that tenants take into account when selecting a building is the range of amenities that that building offers in relation to its overall rental cost. What are you seeing as the most impactful retrofits from an amenity perspective?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, and there's a laundry list of amenities that tenants are asking for across Australasia. But the two that always, I guess, rise to the top is one, flexibility, because especially in the post-COVID world that we live in, certainty around your office strategy is something that's hyper valuable. So if an asset's able to provide some form of flexibility for those tenants, that's great. And some form of wellness or experience, because there's the flight to quality that's happening a lot, especially in Australia, meaning tenants going to some of the redevelopments or the premium grade assets, but also what I like to call a flight to experience. So when a tenant goes into a building, what kind of activations and programs and events are happening within that building that's being put on by that landlord. So those two are really important, but it's interesting because as an owner, when you think about all the things that you need to provide to tenants to attract them to differentiate your asset, that list can get tediously long, right? So it's not just the flexibility, it's not just the wellness, it's also how big of an event space do you have? Do you have the right size boardrooms? What about work cafes and lounges? And it keeps going on. So the big question is, even if you do those things as an owner, who's going to run those things for you? And that's kind of where operators like myself and others in the market come in.
So in flex suites, F&B, those kind of amenities are relatively tried and tested. Is there anything new that landlords are starting to experiment with, perhaps, that could be considered as a differentiator or may have a wow factor for their buildings?
Yeah, there's two really cool new things that we're implementing right now with a few landlord partners. And the first one I'm calling spec suites with a service. And very similar to the amenity discussion we were having earlier, if a landlord is providing spec suites within their building, right, pre-fitted out tenancies that they're letting out on shorter terms, being able to provide a laundry list of services and experiences to those spec suites as well is a huge way to differentiate your offering in the market. And you can do that if you do have a flex operator in the building, because think of a roaming community manager going up on those floors and servicing the spaces as they need, providing really good connectivity from an infrastructure and a tech perspective, health and safety, cleaning, all that kind of stuff. That's really, starting to develop within the market because, again, it's a huge differentiator and a way that you can be a bit thoughtful with the resources already within your building. And the other one is media rooms, right? So podcast studios was a huge thing that really took off in Australia, and almost every co-working tenancy has one in there because especially during COVID, everyone was creating content, right? Digital content through podcasts. I feel right now there's a lot of video-driven content and podcasts also hitting the market. And Goldman Sachs themselves did an independent study that showed the creator economy is set to hit $500 billion by 2027. And that's just not your goofy TikToks and stuff like that for entertainment value, but it's like professional services and professional content, right? And handheld stuff on the phone is always going to have its place and still be good. But if you want professionally branded content, having a media room is super valuable that a lot of people don't have within their office.
Thanks very much, Tashi, for joining me today to talk about amenities.
Thanks for having me, Andrew.
And looking forward to the next episode on the topic of asset enhancement. So look out for the notifications and please join for the next episode. Thank you.